starting off with that.
Well, I know what's right. I got just
Welcome
one
back
life.
to Union Members Radio. I am James with my co-hosts Keith Combs and Jesse Riggs. Was Phil.
Yes.
All right, we're
Phil
sorry,
made it
man.
back.
I'm just learning how to work these phones, and I'm hanging everybody up. I'm moving people to Italy. You know, just I'm going all over the place with these phone calls. Phil, come on. You are a union activist and an author, right?
Yes, I am.
And a songwriter.
I'm special.
Is he a songwriter?
He's a songwriter.
Yes, I am.
There
What
it
song
is.
did you
All
write?
right.
Coordinated with Workers United, which is an affiliate of SEIU.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm author of the Jackson Project, War in the American Workplace, published 2 years ago by the University of Tennessee Press.
Yep.
Wow.
I read a little bit about
Memoir
Phil.
About one of the most intense and dangerous campaigns in
Phil's
my career
gangster out there.
at a textile mill in West Tennessee, fighting against a union-busting company that had taken over the plant. And folks who, to understate it, didn't play nice and fair.
Oh, boy.
Nope.
Wow.
And Phil's out there, man. Phil's in the trenches. Phil's one of my Facebook friends. So this is our first time to actually chat. Phil, nice to meet you, buddy.
Hey, nice to meet you all over the airwaves as well.
Right. Thanks for all of your work. I know you've been a big inspiration to me over the last several years. That I've seen you on Facebook, all the activism you've done, and the fact that you've been doing it down south is just mind-boggling.
Well, thank you, bro. I appreciate that.
Well, Phil, I want to hear about this book that you got.
Yeah, well, the book, it's a memoir. It's written, unlike a lot of books about labor, it's written as a literary, dramatic work.
Okay.
The main focus is about the people, which, frankly, for me, I'm not one of these organizers driven by some politically correct ideology. I'm hardcore working people. I've worked for a living since I was 16 years old. I spent 20 years in the shop and fought my way up through the ranks. So for me, it's about the people, and the book reflects that. It's about the human drama. But it also gives an insider's look to what really happens day by day as a union campaigns, a labor dispute unfolds, that just cannot be written by some journalist or professor standing on the outside looking in. So if folks are interested in the real deal and the real people behind, what was really a major labor dispute, they'll find it in the Jackson Project, and it's available wherever books are sold.
Okay, now what's the name of that book again?
Jackson Project, War in the American Workplace, by the University of Tennessee Press.
The Jackson Project. And you said we can get that book where at?
Any place books are sold.
Any place books. Now, do you have it available also electronically for Kindle?
Right.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yeah, it's available as a Kindle and all the e-book sites. It's like 100 different places where it's available electronically.
Cool.
That's
Audible. Let somebody else read it to me.
Oh, yeah, Audible is it's pretty nice. Now, Phil, how long did it take you to do this book? To write it, shall I say?
Okay,
Not
to actually write it was about 9 months.
Okay.
And I am very fortunate that the woman I live with, Patricia Ford, who sings my songs and does cartoons for my union campaigns, is also my editor. She's an absolutely brilliant editor. So she edits.
Wow. Shout out to
By
Patricia.
the time, I was submitting the book, but then, the process you go through with copy editors at your publisher, it's really a much longer, more complicated process than most people would imagine.
Okay.
To actually go from sitting down to start writing the book to seeing it out in print.
All right, so I got another question for you. The NLRB case that you won. Can you give us that information? Because we're always good to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hold tight.
You know
tight.
what?
I've been on this show.
Hold
on,
tight,
Phil.
my brother, because you know what? I don't want you to get this story started until...
Leave me all on the edge of my seat.
I don't want you to get this story started because we got to get ready to go to a break. But on the other side of the break, we're going to hear about this NLRB case that we have won. Come back. See you back.
All right. Union members ready?
Well, I know what's right. Well, I know what's right.
Hey, welcome back to Union Members Radio. I am James, here with Keith and Jesse. What's happening? Hey, and we got Phil on the phone. Phil is here talking about his
Ninja.
see, that's right. NLRB case that he won, and that is commendable. Phil, can you tell us what's going on with that case? We've been holding all break time to hear this case. It's yours.
Look, I've been on your show several times as this year-long campaign unfolded, so I'm going to give a very brief recap of what takes us to the present. November 2nd of last year, I get a call from one of the union's directors asking if I would go to Eden, North Carolina, where a decertification petition had just been filed the day before at a Karistan rug plant owned by Mohawk Industries, a Fortune 500 company.
Right.
Okay, and so we went there, and it was very clear from the very beginning that the employer was just neck deep into this decertification.
Wow.
We did an in-depth investigation, and we proved, multiple counts of management solicitation, bullying and threatening employees who wouldn't sign the petition, interrogating employees, illegal promises, essentially granting free rein to the petitioners, meaning basically paying them to run around the plant and bother people on their jobs, trying to get them to sign the petition.
Wow.
Now, of course, look at the timing of this. We've had a union at this facility for 80 freaking years. Okay?
Wow.
But the company was like many companies, many anti-union employers, was seeking to take advantage of the Trump administration and Trump's newly appointed heads of the NLRB. So, the timing in their mind couldn't have been better.
Right.
And so it took the investigation, which normally takes a month to 6 weeks, dragged on for 6 months. Every last stone had to be turned over. As our evidence mounted, and it became really clear that we had a case and all the company could really say was we didn't do it, their union-busting attorney, whom they hired specially to run the campaign for them, began filing brief after brief, motion after motion, directly to the board in Washington, essentially trying to argue legal technicalities to be able to circumvent the evidence being directed at the NLRB's regional office in Winston-Salem.
Wow.
But it didn't work, and in May of this year, the NLRB issued a massive complaint against Mohawk Industries for a laundry list of counts in an employer-supported decertification effort. In addition to the numerous citations against the company as a whole, 3 members of management were cited for a total of 45 illegal acts of union busting.
Wow.
Most companies, one of my specialties during my 30-year career has been successfully fighting professional union busters.
Man.
And in any other situation, one exception that I've been in, where the complaint was as substantial and well-proven as this one, the employer settled the case and moved on. But again, looking ahead to who's now running the labor board, the company's attorney appealed the complaint, and it looked like we were headed for a trial that was going to begin last month.
Well.
Okay, and 2 United States attorneys were assigned by the NLRB to prosecute Mohawk. We began preparing for trial. The company continued filing motion and brief after brief with the Trump board, trying to, in essence, circumvent the trial.
Right, stall it out,
put us in a position where we couldn't win. But every single time, even the Trump-appointed labor board shot them down. The company didn't get to score 1 point in this entire campaign, and that's simply because underneath it all, the law is the law, and the quality of our evidence was such there really was no way to come up with a legal rationale for honoring any of the company's positions.
Right.
And so the attorneys carpet-bombed the plant with subpoenas. I mean, people that hadn't even showed up on my radar showed up on theirs as potential witnesses just due to the extent of the investigation. Management was subpoenaed. Dozens of workers were subpoenaed. July 29th, boom, out of nowhere, Mohawk caves in. The decertification petition is withdrawn. And on August 13th, they signed a settlement agreement with the NLRB addressing all charges.
Wow.
And as we speak now, postings addressing all of the numerous company violations are up all over the plant and on their electronic TV monitors and all the break rooms and all the departments.
They're going to put it out there for them.
Clear to the workers what they've done, and they've been held accountable.
All right, Phil. Man, that is a
Phil.
great win.
Yeah,
that is a great win.
Yes, we love to hear these positive stories.
Well, thank you. And I got to say this, okay? The real heroes of this campaign, first and foremost, are the four guys that make up the bargaining committee.
Right.
And I have never dealt with a finer group of people under fire.
Great.
But, I was called in, as I said, the day after the decert petition was filed. By the day I actually got to Edens, there was an intervening weekend.
Man.
The board gave me 36 hours to not only file charges but an offer of proof. They would have gone ahead and scheduled the elections under the new rules. But the four guys on this committee had spent the month of October, even though they really didn't understand the underlying legalities, they knew that something was rotten in Denmark. And they were just investigating everything that felt wrong to them. So I had spent an entire weekend on the phone debriefing them. So by the time my boots hit the ground, I was ready to file charges, knew my initial list of witnesses, filed the offer of proof.
Yes, I love to hear that kind of stuff. Sounds like you had the four horsemen.
Right.
Makes me want to Ric Flair out.
Woo!
Hey, Phil.
And the other group of people that really deserve recognition here. The company targeted employees, most of them non-members, whom they thought were weak links and could be pressured and coerced. I produced more North Carolina, of course, is in the heart of right-to-work territory. We produced more non-members in this case than I have in my entire career up until this point. Folks who were really afraid to come forward, they weren't really familiar with the union, and they really went through a battle within themselves of fear of company reprisals, fear of dealing with the United States government, versus an innate sense of wanting to do the right thing, of not wanting to take being pushed around the way they had, and seeing these people one by one win the battle inside themselves so they could come forward and help the local union win its battle was the most inspiring part of the campaign.
That's
awesome. Man, you know
That's
what?
Great, Phil.
Thank you, Phil. What's the name? Let's plug your book one more time.
For sure, man.
What's the name
Plug
of
that. Find out where we can hear more.
What's the name of your book?
The book is The Jackson Project, War in the American Workplace, available, Amazon, all the indie stores, Barnes & Noble, you name it. You can get it through there. It's interesting, and just for me personally, that I retired full-time from the union in 1911. And I'm not Jesus.
1911?
In 2011. I'm not that old. So in 2011. And I wrote the book, went on a book tour, and right as the book tour was winding down, I get this phone call, and bam, I'm back doing the same thing again. But to tell you the truth, I missed it.
Hey, Phil, I don't want to cut you short or anything, but we got to get to moving, buddy. Is there a place where we can read a little bit more about this story before we head on out about the Hawk Industries?
Yep. Let's see. If you go to a newspaper called Rockingham Now, which is Rockingham County where the plant is located, and you type in Mohawk plus Labor Board, the reporter there, Jerry Hunt, did an absolutely outstanding in-depth piece about what happened.
Awesome.
Right.
I know
Great
I found
job,
it
Phil.
Googling it.
All
Phil,
right.
thanks again for calling in, buddy. We appreciate all your time and everything you're doing.
All right,
Hey,
Phil, thanks.
My pleasure. Great being here again.
Have a good one, my brother. Take care now. All right, bye. Hey, number 1-800-923-9385. 1-800-923-9385, Union Members Radio. You can also find us at unionmembersradio.com, unionmembersradio.com.